we're all here to play Morbid Curiosity. Its game and its siblings are the creation of artist and therapist Kimberly Meade and her husband, punk rocker and historian James Young. While working at a grief center facilitating a children's group, Kimberly was struck by the remarkable difference that kids approach talking about death. They asked all sorts of questions that would make most adults squirm. They sang about decomposition and asked what makes a person dead. They encouraged and supported each other, exploring the fine line between life and death in a way that adults had forgotten. The kids were simply curious. She, along with her husband, worked to create something that would allow adults to explore and engage with this taboo and fascinating world. And now we're proud to present Morbid Curiosity. If you are interested in the game, you can visit their website. It's morbidcuriositygame.com. And I want to thank Alan, who's here with us tonight, for lending us his Morbid Curiosity game deck. And so with that, let's get started. So our first question is, according to some scholars, Alexander the Great's body was A, preserved in honey, B, mummified, C, frozen in carbonite, or D, immediately cremated. So we're going to launch the poll and you can pick your option.
Hey, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's weird. Maybe co-hosts don't get a pick.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true? That makes me real sad.
I'm
Not like
going
I
to
haven't
change
played this a couple times, but.
I was going to say, Julie, it'd be cheating if you got to play again.
Have I've maybe gotten one answer right in the both sessions.
Wait, now you can do it.
Now you can.
Now I can.
All right. It looks like just about everyone has voted. And 62% say he was preserved in honey, followed by immediately cremated. So I'll stop using that. And the answer is he was preserved in honey.
How did people know that? I'm curious. Is that like honey was big back in those days? What?
It's the
Does
most
anyone
interesting.
want to?
It's the most interesting answer. That's why I went with it.
Okay. Okay.
We might have some history buffs in the building, I think.
We might.
All right. The next question. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul resided in which part of the body? The heart, the brain, the liver, or the throat? No, I see one answer is coming out on top. All right, let's see. We have 38% saying the liver, followed by 31% the heart. Let's see if you're right. It is the heart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I always thought it should be either the throat or the liver. So like I've done this a couple of times. I was like, I keep guessing the other ones. Maybe it will turn around and be something else.
I dig it. Can I ask something though? Why did people guess the liver?
Does anyone want to share?
It just seemed weird enough.
I actually thought it was the stomach, but that's another topic.
Okay. All right.
I thought it was because it was St. Patty's Day. They was voted liver.
True that.
All right, here's our next question. A casket originally referred to A, the rock placed upon a grave to protect against scavengers, B, a bread box, C, a box of jewels, or D, it has always been a receptacle for a body.
Ooh.
This definitely is giving the most pause to folks. People are had this puzzled look on their faces.
All right. So it's kind of a split between the rock placed upon a grave to protect against scavengers and a receptacle for a body. So it is actually 23% of you got it right, a box of jewels.
All right.
And this was a euphemism undertakers introduced for the container of a dead body.
Well, at least they thought of it as like a prized thing, right? So that's nice.
Yeah. All right, here's our first discussion question.
All right, everybody. So we're gonna stay all together during the discussion questions and just chime in. So, you know, this group is definitely not bashful, which is a great thing. But just go ahead and contribute however you would like. But the question this time is, are there any items you want to be buried with or cremated with? Is there anything that you would like to take with you?
And they we talked about this in our practice, but if you don't feel comfortable speaking up and you want to put it in the chat, we'd love you to participate that way too.
If you want to say something, and how do you get seen?
We see you right now.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I can't see that you see me. Anyway, I want to be buried with whatever is left on my things to do list.
Oh, that's horrible.
I'm working really hard to get it down to 0 before that event, but whatever is left, I don't want to hear about it anymore.
You can no longer be buried with cars. I think there's a law against that.
I think I'm going to use the Bob Hope answer and say, surprise me.
We come in here, this world with nothing, so that's how we want to go.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel. I can't think of anything that I would want to be cremated or buried with.
Well, you could have a digital music player if it had a really long battery.
That was a long time ago. I want to grade, I don't know who it was, but he said he wanted all the possessions to be going thrown down the road where he was going to go get buried. And he wanted to be buried with his hands up, you know. And the reason it was because we came into his world with nothing, and he came back with empty hands, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's cool. Nice.
My aunt told me this story once about, you know, like when you're having dinner and they're taking your plate and they say, oh, keep your fork, then you know there's something good still to come. And so she told the story about wanting to be buried with a fork, right? Because there's still more good to come. And so when she passed away, I found these small forks and I left one with her, right? And so I think about that sometimes, to have there's still more to come.
Right on.
That's great.
I'd never thought about that question before, so that certainly gives me something to think about. But I'm like Jose, I can't think of anything I'd want to take with me to the next life.
Mm-hmm.
But I may think of something in the next week when I ponder this.
My father died a few days before Valentine's Day, and my sons were 6 and 7 at the time, and they had made Valentine cards for him. So we put those in the casket with my dad. That's something I think about. It's been 30 years, and I thought he still got those.
Yeah.
I lost my mother. I was 23, and I had just found out I was having a baby, and I put the sonogram picture because she was with me at my first sonogram, and then she died 3 days later, and I put a picture of my son's sonogram in her casket.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, Jen.
Yeah, I'm in the cultural participants in our tribe, and it's customary. I belong to the cultural costumbre, so I get buried with my sword. They put a sword in my casket, but it's supposed to be red and black, you know. But when they put it in there, it's all black.
Hmm.
Thanks everybody for sharing. That's amazing. There's such good answers. All right, so we're going to get back to a trivia question. So I hope you're all warmed up. Which U.S. state cremates more people than any other? There's Florida, California, Nevada, or North Carolina.
Are we putting that into the chat? Oh, sorry, just saw the poll pop up.
All right, it looks like everyone's put in their answer. And 50% of the group said Florida, followed by California. And the answer is Nevada.
Yay.
Do you know why? Why, Alan? Why is Nevada?
Because I don't think anybody is from there.
And also too, I know you can't, it's hard to dig a basement, maybe the ground.
Too hard to dig into the ground. Yeah.
I was thinking Florida might be, because the water level's so high, like Louisiana.
And it's hotter than hell there.
Nobody wants to be buried there.
Yeah, so I did look this up. It says the larger number of Americans opting to be cremated for reasons including perceived simplicity, shifting religious values, growing environmental consciousness, and good old-fashioned thriftiness. In Nevada, all those reasons, plus transiency and geography,
right.
Most Nevada residents come from somewhere else, and some of them have family ties and burial plots waiting for them back home. Transporting a body can be complicated and expensive, costing up to $1,000 or more.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was a good answer.
Cool.
All right. What is aquamation? Now, if you came to our session last year, you should get this 100% right. It's a burial at sea, a form of liquid cremation, an eco-friendly embalming fluid, or mortician speak for washing the body. And I apologize, that last one has a typo in there. I missed it. Looks like we're just waiting for one more person to put in their answer. All right. So 57% said it is a form of liquid cremation, and you would be right. It is also known as alkaline hydrolysis. And if you would like to learn more, you can actually watch our recording of a session we did last year. It's called Surprising Benefits of Water Cremation, and it's available on our website. All right. Based on what we know, what would happen to your body if you died on Mars? A, solar cremation, B, mummification, C, standard decomposition, or D, gravitational decay? For all you scientists out there. All right. So 43% said solar cremation, followed by gravitational decay. And the answer is mummification.
Wow.
Does anyone want to take a guess to why?
How do they know this?
Guess as good as anything. A guess as good as anything.
Yeah, so actually, due to being a cold, dry planet with exceedingly thin atmosphere and no liquid water and no known living organisms, the body would dry out and mummify.
There you go.
Yeah. somebody's job to find that out.
Just that people think about these things is fascinating.
I agree.
Right. So now we're going to go into our first breakout session. And so while you're in the breakout, your question is in your group to come up with the worst slogan you can think of for a mortuary. And you'll have 3 minutes. All right. Let me just make sure. Yep. All right, here we go.
You know what we forgot to say is to choose like your favorite one.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can just have a few.
Yeah.
Shout them out.
We had lots of favorite ones, so that would be good.
We're all back now?
Yes. Uh-huh.
All right.
All right. Does anyone want to just shout out some of your answers that you came up with?
I like one from our group that was Dust in the Wind. I liked it.
It's even got its own song. That's pretty cool.
I mean, comes with its own jingle. What can you do?
Yeah.
Someone said Last Exit.
Yes.
In the chat, there's You Die, We Bury.
We had a couple. One was You Tag 'em, We'll Bag 'em. And then we cheated and did a little Googling, and one of them was like, coffin so nice, you'll want to die twice.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Hey, Ed, tell him yours.
Well, mine was kind of raunchy, but it's, we guarantee you will rot in hell.
I'd be so curious to know how many buyers they have for that.
Again, criteria was the worst, not the best.
Yes.
True.
Very like
I very like iPhone. All right, let's go on to our next trivia question. So, true or false, there is a memorial on the moon that commemorates astronauts and cosmonauts who died in the advancement of space exploration.
And for those who have not got a single one of these correct so far, your odds are pretty good this time.
50-50.
All right, so looks like 73% of our group said it was true, 27% said false, and it is true. It was placed on the moon in 1971 and consists of a plaque and a sculpture titled Fallen Astronaut.
After Gus Grissom and those guys burnt. I remember that. It was in the movie, I think, Apollo, when those guys.
I think this was just in the news recently too.
I think they said it in the movie. That's where I remember it from. So I think Kevin Bacon was in that movie.
A sculpture? How big is the sculpture? Looks like a Gumby.
It's really little.
He's very tiny. All right, let's do the next question. What is the difference between a graveyard and a cemetery? A, there is no difference. B, a cemetery is over 100 years old. C, a graveyard adjoins a church. Or D, graveyards have fewer than 100 graves. All right, everyone's put in their answer. So 73% of you said a graveyard adjoins a church, and you are correct.
I'm curious, do people know that because of growing up, like going to church? I didn't grow up in a religious family, so I had no idea about that.
My grandpa was one of the caretakers of the church, and he said it's a graveyard because it's on the same property as the church. When we were little, somebody called it a cemetery. He goes, well, it's really considered a graveyard because it's connected to the church.
Okay.
But otherwise, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he didn't know what he was talking about, but I guess he did.
When I was in England, in one of the hospitals, in fact, many of the hospitals, they have graveyards adjoining the hospital. And I thought, that's not really good for advertising. And then somebody cued me into the fact that the hospitals, I mean, the facilities that were hospitals, many of them were converted workhouses. And so the people grew up in the workhouse and, lived their life there. And if they were an infant that had, infant mortality, they just moved across the street to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it looks funny next to a hospital, right up looking out the window.
I did a funeral at for someone in Evansville, Indiana, and there's a graveyard there, and it was just very interesting to walk the grounds with the family and see the other family members who were buried there, and you get a lot of stories that way, and in ways that like you wouldn't get in a state like Nevada, and oftentimes in Arizona too, where people are transplants here. And so they don't have that same connection to the family graveyard or mortuary.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the tribes in Mexico, their graveyards is in front of the church.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so then this brings us to the word cemetery. It originally comes from Koimeterian, meaning a garden of death or a garden of the dead, Hades' gate, oblivion, or sleeping place.
I act like I haven't done this 3 times. I make like a surprise face every time, and I still get it wrong. Sad.
That's why I can hang out with Julie, because I tell her the same joke over and over and she pretends like
she still laughs.
She laughs because she can't remember it from the last time.
All right, so it looks like 53% said the garden of the dead, followed by 40% who said sleeping place. So 6 of us got it right with the sleeping place.
Wow.
Woohoo! Got it right.
All right, and now we're up for our next discussion question.
All right, we're back at it. So the next question is, and remember, this is Julie said, that if you prefer not to voice your opinion, you can place it into the chat box. But have you visited a famous cemetery or graveyard ever? Visited a famous person's grave? And if not, is there anyone you'd like to visit? I was thinking about this, and when I once got to go to Spain, and I got to see, it's just near Madrid, King Philip II had basically like a mausoleum created for himself, his family, all of his descendants. And so that, that's about as famous as it gets for me. I got to go see Philip II's family's mausoleum.
I've seen a few at Westminster Abbey, some of the kings and queens, but just about 6 months ago, I took my grandson, he went to see his grandfather's grave, and Waylon Jennings, I'm in Mesa. He was buried a few graves away, a few country western. He's about as famous as.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, I was going to say the closest I've been to a famous cemetery is Tombstone.
Okay.
I was in Sun Valley, Idaho, and my friends who were with me said, get up early because before we go do these other things, we've got to show you this cemetery. And I said, okay. And we go out there and lo and behold, that's where Ernest Hemingway is buried in Sun Valley, Idaho. And on his, I don't know what you call it because the stone is laying flat on the ground. People leave bottles of liquor for him and cigars. And sure enough, there were empty bottles and half-filled bottles there for him. I guess he didn't take enough with him when he was buried. So that was interesting.
George Washington and Mount Vernon.
All right.
It's where you've been or where you'd like to go, Ed?
Oh, I've been there.
I'd like to see Jim Morrison's in Paris.
Mhm. All right. Now you all, I have it in my head that somebody said Waylon Jennings. Now, wasn't he supposed to be on the plane with Buddy Holly?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
He
you're right.
gave he gave not Buddy Holly, but the young kid that died.
Richie Valdez.
Richie Valens.
Richie
Valens.
Valens, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd tell
right.
that story. Yeah.
All right. So back to our trivia. This one's making it a little squirmish, but how long after death do the enzymes that once digested your dinner begin to digest you? A, 6 to 8 hours, B, 24 hours, C, 72 hours, or D, 1 week? All right. Oh, there's still a couple more people voting. All right. So it looks like it's a split between 6 to 8 hours and 20, oh no, sorry, there's a majority, 72 hours, and you are correct. 72 hours.
So I don't know if there's any connection with this, but in some traditions within Buddhism, after the person dies, you're supposed to wait 3 days before you touch the body.
Wow.
You're just supposed to let it be. So I just found it fascinating that that's the same amount of time.
And then in other traditions, you're supposed to, the funeral happens within 24 hours.
Right.
A religious tradition. So yeah, it's so interesting how different it is.
Yeah.
I had a family who transported they wanted to put the grandmother in the car, it was a truck, and transport her back from Phoenix. I'm in Phoenix to Texas. And I remember we called the medical examiner's office and he said, get it there before 3 days. So we packed it in dry ice and off they went.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. If you are a taphophile, what are you interested in? A, autopsies, B, caskets and coffins, C, cemeteries and gravestones, or D, ghosts and the paranormal? All right. Looks like everyone's put in their answer. So it says 50% of you said cemeteries and gravestones, and you are correct. You would be interested. A taphophile is someone interested in cemeteries and gravestones. I think there's some really cool ones out there too. I totally see why they get behind, that. I've seen there's also like tours, graveyard tours to look at those. So that's neat.
I think I remember the one-liner from Henny Youngman that said, see, I told you I was sick.
That's
Well, one of my art classes, we did the gravestone rubbing, and that's why I heard the term tapophile. I remember thinking, but we did all the old ones and just took paper and chalk and did grave rubbing. It's really pretty.
Awesome.
All right. Here's for more for your history buffs. After Thomas Edison's death, this item was given to his close friend, Henry Ford. Was it A, his gold tooth, B, his brain in a jar, C, a test tube filled with his final breath, or D, a lock of his hair? All right.
They're all a bit bizarre.
I'll say.
All right, so 47% of the group thought his brain in a jar, and that is incorrect. It was a test tube filled with his final breath.
Which is even more weird.
And the test tube is currently held at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan.
Wow.
Like Julie, I've done this 3 times already, and I guessed the brain in the jar because I thought nobody else was going to, just because I wanted to have that joke, but I was with the majority.
It's like an empty tube, right? There's nothing in it, right?
I think there's some really bad smells in it, is what I'm guessing.
I thought it was hair because one of the things they did, I probably watched too much Antiques Roadshow, but they make mourning jewelry and mourning prints, and they're actually made from the deceased hair.
Oh, okay.
I saw the test tube thing on the History Channel. I wanted to know, did they just like hold it up to his nostril for a few minutes and then put the cap on? You know.
Right, because how'd they know it was his final breath?
Right, it
Yeah,
couldn't have been.
right.
You don't know that. You can't.
It's like they got one and then he did it, like, shoot, they just like dumped that one out and do another one.
Yeah, I've worked with hospice for 20 years. It'd be difficult to me to get that final breath. Test tube.
Kari, what hospice are you with?
Hospice of the Valley in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Did you know Colleen Benton-Corey? Did you work with her?
I know the name, but I think she was in the East Office. I'm in Central Clinical.
Okay, because she moved from Hospice of the Valley down to Casa de la Luz as the administrator. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hi, Kari. We work together.
Oh,
I was in Central.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, glad to have our Hospice of the Valley friends with us. Thanks for coming on.
And our next discussion question is there an item you treasure that was given to you by someone who has died? Is there an item you treasure that was given to you by someone who has died? Does anyone want to start this discussion?
Yeah, I would just say my life.
That's sweet.
That is really cool. Really cool.
I have a watch that was actually my grandfather's and it's engraved on the back for his 50 years of service in the company that he worked with. And it's one that has like dials on it. It doesn't have hands, it has diamonds, and it moves, they move in some weird way. So my dad, when my grandfather died, my dad had a beautiful turquoise or silver and turquoise wristband made, and I have that.
Oh, beautiful.
I have a baby ring that my grandmother gave me when I was baptized, and then she gave me a little locket. So ring doesn't fit, but it goes around the little locket now. And I had that when I was about 6 months old. It's old.
Nice.
I have lots of stuff I want to give to people when I die.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about? Like, what's the,
Jewelry and artwork and all my stuff I want to give away.
Yeah.
And I hope that some of it my loved ones will treasure.
right on. I have my, it wasn't given to me by my grandmother, but when my grandma died, my dad and I were the two who were in town, and my dad said, you know, will you go meet because she was in a facility, would I go meet the mortuary? And as I'm walking out the hotel door, he goes, and get her wedding ring. And so I felt kind of weird about that. But to this day, it's my most treasured possession. I wear it. I'm not a big jewelry person, but it's the one thing I will wear. And I love that every time I look at it, right? Like, she's with me, and she is such a big influence on my life, and the person who really epitomized unconditional love for me. So I love that, that I have that. And even though in the first question, I did say that I would want to be buried or cremated with it, I do think I want to pass it on to maybe one of my nieces or something, even though they didn't really get to know her, just that spirit, that lineage of spirit, you know.
I have a lot of photos
Yeah.
from my family way back, and I just treasure them.
I have a photo of my mother that was probably taken in the 20s or so. And it's interesting, you always sort of picture somebody when they pass that they're old and have all the trappings of being an old person. But to see my mother when she was a teenager is really something different, you know, because you never think of them that way. When you're a kid, it's like, oh, my mother, you know. But to see somebody when they were, just growing up and, moving forward in life is sort of something.
That's great.
All right, we have a few more trivia questions. I know we're getting close to time, so we'll try and get through these. Throughout European folklore, what was the herb of death? Was it A, parsley, B, oregano, C, rosemary, or D, lavender?
I'm getting this right on the third try. That's all I can say.
Everyone's put in their answer. So 38% of you said it was rosemary, followed by a split between parsley and lavender. And the answer is parsley.
Wow.
The Romans used it in funeral rites and dedicated the herb to Persephone, the queen of the underworld.
Wow.
Right. So
But Italian parsley is very different than a lot of the parsley that we're used to around here. So there's a little more. There's a little more.
Maybe more fragrant or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flatter leaf.
Cool.
All right. In the Spanish Pyrenees, what happens to a beekeeper's bees after the beekeeper dies? The hive is placed in the hollow of a tree. A drop of black ink is splashed on each bee. The queen is killed, or the kids inherit them. All right. And 47% said the hive is placed in the hollow of a tree, followed by the beekeeper's kids inheriting them. And surprisingly, only one person got this right. And it is a drop of black ink is splashed on each bee.
You do that.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Dumb luck.
This is how I envision it happening.
Like
tiny little dropper.
Throw the whole thing of paint at the hive.
Oh my gosh.
He's-
It's easy if you have a can of DDT.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wouldn't that
Oh,
kill,
Ed.
wouldn't that kill the bees, you think? The ink on them? It's gonna kill the bees.
They're a
So,
very
yeah.
patient people there in the Pyrenees.
You gotta wait for it to land. And then...
It would have been much easier just to kill the queen, be done with it.
All right. True or false? Due to health regulations, funeral homes are not permitted to rent a casket.
This is a trick question.
Okay. So it's 54%. It's kind of an even split. 54% said it was false, and that is correct. You can actually buy a cardboard box to place inside a formal casket for viewings or funerals. This way you save money, but still look good for the frugal people. All right, David.
Oh, we're back up with a discussion. Okay. What is the most surprising or unexpected thing you've experienced at a funeral? I know maybe some of the hospice workers have some good stories for us.
Oh, I guess the funniest thing I can think of was I was on call through the night. It was just getting dark. So it was about like 7. Patient passed away. I get there and he's in his hospital bed in the den. His son is there. The young grandsons are there. And I level the bed. I shut off the oxygen. And when I shut off the oxygen, he made this puffing noise and even though you're used to seeing a lot of death with hospice, I jumped way back and I knocked the grandson into the bookcase. He had a Coke in his hand, dumped it all over his shirt. And I just never forget the sound that it made. But I thought they were crying because they had their hands, everybody in the room had their faces covered up, but they were laughing hysterically at me. And they said it reminded them of a Warner Brothers cartoon. They thought there would be my shape running through the door after I plowed through it. It just, he made such a noise because he still had the oxygen on and he had died maybe 45 minutes prior. So when I shut it off and leveled the bed, it just came out of him. He moved and it's anyway.
My grandmother's funeral in 1987, I was in social work graduate school. I flew to Pittsburgh where my grandmother lived and died. And the rabbi did not know her. So we went to her funeral and he spoke all these words about her that were so untrue. Like I remember riding in the limousine to the cemetery and we were all laughing hysterically, saying, who was he talking about? Like, were we at the right funeral? Because she was not the person who he was describing. And we just found that to be really funny. Like, if you don't know who the person is, then you say things that the family says, wow, really? No, she was a bitch. She wasn't nice and kind because we knew her.
At my grandmother's funeral, my cousin sang a hymn, The Old Rugged Cross, and brought us all to tears. And I never realized my cousin had a voice like he had and was outstanding. It just surprised us all and we all were weeping. So that was very surprising.
Yeah.
I knew somebody here in town that was injured on a motorcycle in an accident and actually went to the services for him and he had most of his buddies showed up on motorcycles. And they actually accompanied the casket from the church or the mortuary, wherever it was, to the gravesite. And it was quite a distance. I don't think it was on the property of where he was going to be buried, but I thought that was pretty interesting. He was actually, as I said, he was actually killed on a motorcycle here in Tucson.
I think, well, I know. For me, it was really the first funeral I think I ever attended or that I remember. I had been in Ecuador as a Peace Corps volunteer for about a year and a half. And my husband, I had just gotten married to an Ecuadorian. He was an Andean musician. One of the guys in his group was in a motorcycle accident. And when he died, they were the best known Andean group in all of Ecuador. And when Julio died, it was just phenomenal. They had the wake at the Casa de la Cultura in Quito, the capital city. It was like the cultural house. There's a museum there. There's a huge concert hall. I mean, it is like the biggest cultural setting in all of Ecuador. And there were musicians from the entire country. And they just took turns playing music around his casket, you know. And I was just like, oh my goodness. You know, I had never been to an Ecuadorian funeral, have never seen anything in Ecuador since then, but I was just absolutely amazed at the tribute that this young man received from all of his musician buddies. It was amazing.
Beautiful.
Okay, so we have a few questions left, but I know we're getting right up on 7 o'clock. So I just wanted to check and make sure if you want to continue or you want to stop with that. Anyone? You guys want to keep
Go
going?
for it. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. All right. So which sense is generally believed to be the last to go when dying? Sight, taste, touch, hearing, or smell? A few more people putting their answers in. All right. So 86% of you said it was hearing, and that is correct.
I put smell because my wife is like, her superpower is the olfactory sense. So I know that's going to be the last one that goes for her.
All right. So with that, another discussion question.
Oh, back on. All right. Is there a specific piece of music or sounds you would want played on your deathbed or at your memorial? I know some people have thought about this in terms of on their deathbed, what they would like to have played.
Dust in the Wind.
There you go.
It came up earlier. Dust in the Wind or Sailing Away by Christopher Cross.
Nothing by Barry Manilow. No, I think he's good. That's just a joke, you know.
There's a George Harrison song, My Sweet Lord.
No.
I really want to see you, Lord, but it takes so long. I would go for that one.
All right.
I would have to go with going back to the Andean music theme. One or more of the recordings of Andean music that I ended up recording with my husband.
Nice.
So I would try to stay away from the traditional ones. I don't know what that means, but after you've been to a lot of funerals, it's like, can't somebody come do something different? You know, there's some that are just, you know, they're meant to be tear jerkers. I mean, I guess Ave Maria is one, which is pretty standard.
Amazing Grace.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting with Amazing Grace, a lot of people cry when they hear it, but they don't know the true origins of the song. You know, David does, I know.
They make you learn these things in seminary.
Yep. Well, it was a song of an abolitionist that had actually, or somebody had changed his ways in life and became an abolitionist. And back the discontinuation of slavery, right? Something like that, David?
Yeah, it was originally, though, by someone who was, I understand, a slave trader.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a slave trader.
There was a movie, it was a wonderful movie. I'm trying to think who the actor was. It was about that, but it was really good.
Yeah.
And the last, didn't he wrote a poem which turned into the song, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say the last verse of the poem is never sang.
Right. We have one more breakout before we end things. So in your group, we want you to name as many movies as you can with the word death or dead in the title.
Hey, Jen, since we're at 7, what if we just stay together and sort of do
Yeah.
this?
That'd be great.
Again, maybe throw them in the chat, or if you don't feel comfortable speaking them out. All right, ready? Go.
Dead Man Walking.
Deadpool.
Death Wish.
Yeah.
Death Wish 1, Death Wish 2, Death Wish.
Dead to me.
Dead men don't wear plaid.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, someone said Better Off Dead, Death on the Nile.
Ooh.
Death at a funeral.
Death on
For
the
weddings
Orient
and a funeral.
Express.
Dead in it. She got killed by a toilet seat. Dead like me.
Dead like me. Yeah.
Oh,
I've seen that show on Netflix. All right. Well, here's a couple we just picked out for you. Death at a Funeral. Somebody said that. Death Becomes Her, which I learned Julie has not seen.
I
I
know.
haven't seen it yet. Oh, yes, I did see it. Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. The Quick and the Dead,
ooh.
and Dead Poet Society.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
Mhm.
That was a good one.
Yeah, so that is our last question. So Julie.
Yeah, so next slide, please, Jen, I think. Oh, well, this will be David.
Oh, okay. So we hope that everybody can join us next month on the 21st of April. Ann Newman will be with us. She's a journalist and author of The Good Death, an exploration of dying in America. She was a former hospice volunteer, and she's written a lot about end of life care, aging, religion, in lots of different publications. But she's going to be talking about the history of kind of the nursing home industry, its challenges, advocates' decades-long efforts to improve them, and the effects on elders who depend upon these facilities for their care before, during, and after the pandemic. She's a wonderful speaker, very engaging. I hope you all can join us. She'll bring some great insights into her own research and experiences.
And then in May, we will have Carla Sutter, who runs Health Current. So for those of you who don't know this, you know, our advanced directives used to be kept by the Secretary of State in Arizona, but it was just sort of like they went into this vault and nothing ever happened with them. But the law was changed, and now Health Current is the repository, and they are really working so that you're in an accident, you go to the ER, nobody's with you, you're unresponsive, they can pull up your advanced directives, figure out who your proxy is and all of that. And so that's who Carla is. She runs that. But what she's going to be talking about in May is the whole phenomenon of how many families become divided when dividing up property and how to try to avoid that. And she's a very engaging speaker. She's part of our end of life care partnership. And so we hope you can join us for that as well. We are so grateful for you you know, as I said at the beginning, we have these serious topics, but then we like to have nights like tonight where we keep it a little lighter and fun and irreverent. Thank you also to those of you, I know some of you made donations in support of tonight. And so I want to thank you for helping us underwrite the costs of putting on these events and making them free to our community. We are always open to your ideas about, you know, topics that you want to hear about, great speakers that you may know of. So please feel free to email us. Our email address is supporting@rootsandroads, or you could just go on rootsandroads.org or call us. We always love new ideas. So we've got a lot of cool sessions in the works for the coming months, but these are the next two. And we hope to see you then. Have a very, very lovely rest of your St. Patty's Day, or whatever day you celebrate today as a good day to be on Earth. And we're grateful for you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. Take care.
Bye-bye.